We continue our interaction with Mr. Navroz Contractor as he tells us about the connections between art and photography. All along in this course, we've been talking about the importance of light in photography. Navroz is going to talk more about it. Let's go over to him.
When we look at anything that we are studying, we look at it as one thing being separate from the other. Like science is here, language is here, maths is here, theater is there, performing arts is here, fine arts is here. But you're talking about when you were studying, you were doing principally art and painting and photography together. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what you see are the connections between art and photography, and how an education or looking at art can help us to be better photographers?
Yes. See, I think that is very good question. That is one of the things that is missing from all the schools of photography in India. And what has happened is that when you study photography in India, you study photography as if it existed by itself, but it is not true. What is your reference? If you go to, say, the good schools in the world, which is in Czechoslovakia or in Cuba, and you want to become a cinematographer, first 2 years you have to study fine arts. Only then you will be able to come near a camera. And that study has to be there with everybody. For example, if you are studying lighting, if you do not know and if you have not studied the paintings of Rembrandt, what is your reference? My reference cannot simply be because what Bergman was shooting or what Kurosawa was shooting or all that, because they have their own references. So it is, and then the composition. What is composition? What is color? What is black and white? Because when you do black and white photography, for example, it is very essential to learn Japanese art, because Japanese people painted in black and white, and they would take a brush and they would draw, and the blue clouds had to look blue but in black and white, and the rose had to look red in black and white. So our color of photography, I still feel that for the longest time the color of photography was black and white, and how do you see that? How do you put all that range of colors into watching in black and white, So that was one thing. So that was a very, then when you're looking at things, if you are going to go into filming or anything like that, theater is very important, because you're looking at actors all the time. You're looking at lighting, how they've lit that scene, how they've lit this scene, Then when you're looking at reality, what you're looking at is that you're going to different situations all the time. Now I'm talking technically. I'm not talking in the more conceptual thing that you have said, which I will come to, is that if you go into a kitchen, for example, what do you have to see first? How will you light up your subject? Is where the light source is, and you have to replicate that. You see, before the films were very slow, and now the films are very fast. Like my first film that I shot, the daylight ISO was 25. Today you cannot even, nobody can hear today. The basic film speeds are starting at 800. So we have to deal with all these kind of things. And so when you shoot candlelight, did we have paintings in India which showed us what candlelight does, what masters have done with candlelight? So we have to have that in your brain, You have to have that in your computer. It is like studying an alphabet, that when you want to write, you have to know the alphabet, you have to know a little bit of grammar, So all these things imbibing into you was what makes a real photographer. Now, if you want to go into photojournalism, then you have to learn history, you have to learn politics, you have to be interested, or whatever that your subject is, but you have to be interested in life around you and want to go deep and deep into that thing. Now technically, let me tell you that when I was very fortunate to learn with a very famous photographer called Bhupendra Karia, and nothing was like that in the fine arts before he came. So I'll tell you my story. It's a little, anecdote, that we were doing photography for 1.5 years, and I was not getting anywhere, My pictures would look like rubbish and everything like that, and I would go in and out of the dark room, and people would tell me, my teacher would tell me something, my peon would tell me something, and it was a big struggle. I was not getting anywhere. So I met this guy, and he told me that, you really want to study photography? So I said, yes. So he said, show me all your work. So I brought my 1.5 years of work, And he looked at everything, looked at all my negatives, and he asked me again, do you really want to study photography? So I said yes. So he took out a cigarette lighter and put fire to all my work.
Wallah.
Yeah. So everything went into ashes. I mean, as a grown-up boy, I was in tears. And he said, now you start. And he called me home and he gave me 20 rolls of film. And for 6 months, he only made me shoot and process, shoot and process, Then after that, for 6 months, he made me do only contact sheets. So when you make a black and white photograph, which I brought some samples for you to show, from what quality wise, from what your contact print looks to what your exhibition quality print looks, should look exactly the same. It is not that contact prints are only meant for looking at frames and moments and all these kind of things. So the technical training that I had was so severe. Literally, he started teaching me how to print. And he would lock me up in the dark room on Friday morning and he would let me out on Sunday night. And I had to make 80, 90 prints of maybe 4 or 5 images. And then I would take it to him and he would tear up 85 out of 100, 95 out of 100 and keep only those 5. That kind of rigor I went through, so that now what has happened is that if I pick up my camera and I shoot, I know exactly what I'm going to get, what my final result is going to be. So what has happened in digital photography, I tell you, is that we shoot and then we look. So the subject is gone away, because you should shoot 5, 6 frames before you look at what has happened. When we were shooting on film, we couldn't look. We had to wait for 2, 3 days till we process, till we make prints, and then we know what we have taken or what we have not taken. Now what has happened is that we have become slave to our equipment instead of the equipment becoming our slave. So you look at all the people who are shooting on digital. They shoot and the second thing is like this, because they are looking at whether it is right or wrong. In that thing, the moment is gone. So it's not even with having such great technology at your hand. Today it is fantastic. I'm shooting digital from 2005. I have not shot any film. On cinema I have shot, but not in this. And it offers you incredible amount of freedom and speed of work and everything like that. But the thing is, it has made you more unsure. We come back with 2,000 pictures, thinking that one will be all right. But that's not how it should be, Like Cartier-Bresson, the famous photographer, he said that if you put a frog on a typewriter, a frog, and all night long they're trying, he jumps, in the morning you might find a word. So you're only relying on fluke, When I teach photography now I teach a lot, is that every day's assignment, they should not bring back to me more than 20 pictures. Because what are you teaching them? You're teaching them how to look, and that is what I teach them. Technically, everybody is today very good, and the younger generation picks up technique like this. In fact, I have to ask them, what can I do with my camera that I'm not doing right, or something more, or something deeper, or like that. But what we need to do is that constantly train in how to look and sharpen your eyes, sharpen your brain, sharpen your ears, and be physically prepared to, to capture all this when the moment happens.
To be a photographer, we need to not only learn the tools of photography, but we also need to know about the world and its affairs, and we need to learn history. Mr. Navroz Contractor has reminded us of the need to sharpen our brains, our eyes and ears. Observation skills are very important in the field of photography. We are going to continue our interaction with Mr. Navroz Contractor in the next video.